Okay, let's do another video. As you might have noticed, I don't do as many videos as I used to, once a week or even a fortnight, maybe once a month now. The videos don't get that much attention, so once a month I suppose is enough. The old phone wants to close an app. Anyway, so this is what I wanted to talk to you about today. In light of all the weird things that are going on in the world, as you probably know, a popular spiritual guru is in damage control. I am not going to be spelling it out for you who it is. If you know, you know. And so I wanted to do this video. It might be a quick video regarding all this, but I'll read to you what I wrote, really what I have been writing and talking about for years now, decades. And this is what I wrote. Remember, neither the Buddha nor Christ ever set a law to follow to be saved. Exactly. They never beat you over the head with the Bible or Buddhist scripture into submission. They came to free you from gurus, from the spiritless religious rules and practices that keep you prisoner of your born into religious tradition and society. Exactly. Do you remember? Oh, it's more. I'll keep reading in a moment. Do you remember the saying? Jesus is saying from Gospel of Thomas. I think it's one of those Gospels from a Nakamaji library. He says, "Whoever drinks from my mouth becomes like me, and I become he." That was the whole message. Whether Jesus's, whether Christ, or whether Rumi's, whether anyone's, the message is you are this divinity. There's no need to prostrate yourself before the feet of another guru or religion or authority, any outside authority. You already have your own inner authority. There's no need to prostrate before another. Okay, and we do. You know, since Jesus was talking about these things is over 2,000 years ago, and nothing really has changed. People still forget about their own intuition, following their own intuition, and follow other people's words and books, and you know they I don't know. Personally, I can understand it because these people are popular, these people are famous, and we tend to celebrate people famous, especially in the West. So it's easy to fall for it. They might have brilliant written books and so on. I'm sometimes wondering whether they did the writing themselves or was it someone else. A lot of it is usually helped from outside. They get people that, professional writers. It's called ghost writers. Anyway, so I'll continue. So, now into religious tradition and society. Okay, so how? By simply pointing inwards to your intuitive heart saying, don't follow Christ, become a Christ. Don't follow Buddha, become a Buddha. The divinity that lives in me is the same divinity that lives already in each heart, including you. Now live from it. What that means is, like I was saying so many times before, you have to find your center. That's the core of spirituality, of all spiritual practices, to find this center. And the core of the center is intuition. And it's going to talk to you in feelings, in sometimes in words, and in symbols. It has its own symbols. Symbols such as the soul, the spirit, has its own language, symbolic language. So it has the images of the tree, like I said, the tree of life and the water of life and the cave, anything to do with the threshold between this living reality and the reality of the spirit. or your intuition is that threshold. Yeah? So that's really important. Without this, you're lost. You're still chasing others. You're still reading books. You're still prostrating before, if someone is famous and you feel like you feel like, oh my gosh, they are so special. They're better than me. They're not. They simply have connections. They met someone that knows someone, that they have the right connections, and they manage to get their foot in the door into the spiritual what should I say, community. But it's usually, very often, it's very few that are actually there to help you to free yourself. Usually it comes to, and it's about power and money and influence. Yeah? Okay. So this is, you have to live, once you find the center, you live from it. And it speaks to you intuitively, in feelings and in these symbols. Sometimes you might catch a word somewhere. You might even look at the number plates of cars in front of you, or ad on a passing bus, anything. If you have a question, you stay with that question. It's easy now to just go to the internet and ask the AI, and the answers are there. But you got to remember that all these answers are loaded with the approved narrative. They are not going to be the same answers that you will receive within you directly in your dreams and intuitions. In art is another way that communicates directly with the spirit. All art, especially the archetypal art. The archetypal, what I mean by archetypal, you have the feminine figure, that's the intuition. You have light, she holds see behind me, she holds a lamp. See, she stands in 1, 2, 3, 4 realities. She's at the center. I painted that in 95. I didn't know anything about the center, just intuition communicating all the time. This is archetypal. She stands at the center, and she's wearing a robe, like a classic ancient Greek or Roman robe, dress, because she is, it's a mythological figure, not a real figure, it's a mythological figure, yeah? Okay, so let me finish this my post regarding all this. Here it is important to point out two things. First, wisdom is not knowledge about Jesus, but having direct experience of the same wisdom Jesus knew. Exactly. You have these experiences. I know many of you have, because you have come and shared them with me. Yeah? In the dreams especially. Some of you channel, some of you speak the inner voice through your art, through poetry, through painting. Some of you lived through it. The voices just come. And many of you have that in the dreams. That these are the direct experience. That's what Jesus had. That's why he went into the desert for so many days. He went past John the Baptist. He didn't find what he was looking for. So he went into the desert to have his own visions, to have his own direct experience. And only after that, when he did that, when he returned, that he began his teaching career. It is the same with Buddha. Buddha didn't find what he was looking for anywhere else. Outside of himself, he had to find it while sitting under the Bodhi tree, and then bang, his third eye opened, and he saw the vision of the unity of all life, his own life beyond lives, the eternal part of himself, and the interconnections of everything. Yeah. So this is here is important to point out that you have visions, not just talk about Jesus or believe in Jesus, but have the same wisdom, experience the same wisdom as Jesus knew. And second, the male image of divinity of the Buddha or Jesus is fine for men, but women need a woman image of the holy, a goddess. I'll explain why. With further inner work, the image of the divinity will change from its face to your face. That's why women cannot just identify with being a Buddha. Because you're a woman, you need a feminine image, a goddess, and the reason is because slowly, when you work more and you realize more, you get enlightened more, if you like this, the language of the spiritual crowd, you realize that you are a divinity as well, you're God. So the closer you come to that realization, the divinity will change from, you might have image or in your imagination of a male image, someone you like, perhaps you read, like Jung, Campbell, that would change to a goddess. The closer you come to the realization that you are God as well, you will possibly become a goddess, and then that goddess will have your face. That's the whole reason. I had many discussions with people on the internet about this, but it's so important. Women have to have a goddess. Men, fine, we can have God. That's why in our society, it is such a problem when it comes to the spiritual things or religions, because most of them, if not all of them, have only the male image of God. That's fine for men, but where is the women's image of God? You see? If women are God as well, where is the image for women? There isn't one. In Christianity, you have Mary, but she's not equal to God or Christ. She's only the mother, earthly. Of course, she was taken to heaven, supposedly, but in reality, they don't treat her as equal. And you don't have anything comparable in Judaic tradition at all. They got rid of the Asherah. They got rid of the feminine completely in about 600 BC. The Deuteronomist priest, I can't remember the name, Deuteronomist priest, I think it was, they got rid of it completely. They got rid of her groves, they got rid of her images, they got rid of her statues. Everything was out. And you see, you have that in Indian culture. You have the images of the feminine, but the highest deity is still male. Yeah, and in Buddhism, people say Buddhism is not a religion but a philosophy. But it's still a religion. People treat it as a religion. You have monks, you have monasteries, yeah, you have temples. So they treat it, so it is a religion, and the highest deity is Buddha. Where's the feminine in that? Where's the image for women? There isn't one. So that's really, really important. So going back to, just wait a little. My dog needs to go outside. Just 2 minutes. All right, to continue. So what I was saying at the beginning of this talk is that there is a problem with the gurus, and these gurus. Do you know really many women gurus? There aren't that many. Usually it's men, and unfortunately, I'm talking. I've been talking and writing about this for such a long time. It is so difficult to. The problem is when someone becomes too famous, and there's too much money involved and power. They start to have these connections with the others, and they seem to have this feeling of being completely immune to any persecution, anything. They can get away with anything because they have connections and have power and have money. So this is the really, really big problem. And this, the real guru is someone who is a healer. Someone who is not someone who's going to show you himself as perfect, but someone who is whole and is able to help you to become whole as well. And by whole, I mean you recover the connection with the spirit, with your inner voice, with the feminine, with the intuition. The two halves of your mind, if you like, the rational half, the ego, and the irrational, what they call in our society, the irrational, the intuitive mind, finally become whole. And finally meet and become one. And the intuitive is your collective unconscious. So you have your personal unconscious, who you are, where you were born, which family you were born, your address, your gender, your language, your religion, tradition, and so on. And then you have the deeper, the collective part in your psyche. We all have, and this is shared by all of humanity. It doesn't only belong to you; it belongs to all of us. And you can find this. You can find this in your dreams. Especially the deeper dreams, we call them the archetypal dreams, where you have these images, these symbols, like for instance going up a mountain, sacred mountain, to a center, or going deep into a cave, and the deepest part of the cave is what you have to find. And usually there'll be a tree, like a flowering tree, or a stream